Hi everyone, it's Joe and Zoe here from Inga Company, and we are here today to talk to you about reflective practice, which many of our vlogs and videos so far focused on the tools and the techniques that are needed in coaching. And often the ability to reflect and become a reflective practitioner is actually overlooked as one of the core skills that's needed in coaching. We've just come off the back of our ILM trainings this morning, so we wanted to share with you some insights and capture some of the things that have come up in those trainings today.
Yeah, so probably a good place to start is around the difference between reflection in action and reflection on action. So when you're having a conversation with somebody, you might be sensing, oh, I don't know if that landed quite well. Is the conversation, are we progressing the conversation? And you'll be what's called dancing in the moment. So you're making those quick decisions based on the thoughts that you're having and what you're trying to achieve. So that's happening live. After the conversation has finished and you come away, you'll then be doing what's called reflection on action. So it's after the event, but based on the event. So reflection is, in essence, the ability to think about the past in the present for the future. And as a coach, you'll be reflecting on the questions you asked. You'll be reflecting on your clients' reflections. You'll be taking your reflections to supervision to reflect further on them. So it's a bit like throwing a pebble into the water and seeing it bounce a number of times. You'll keep coming back to those reflections.
And fundamentally, what reflection and being a reflective practitioner is about is learning. It's the ability to enhance your learning. So many of us can relate to being in situations where we'll come out of, maybe it's coaching conversations, maybe it's meetings if you're not yet a coach, and you'll be questioning yourself, oh gosh, did I say that in the right way? Like, what do they think of me? Like, have I made a fool of myself? That's your inner critic. So we are all natural reflectors. It's just, what do we actually spend our time reflecting on? Because the inner critic is actually an unhelpful way to reflect. If you can channel those natural kind of instincts to reflect into what is positive and helpful and healthy for you, what you get instead is learning. So you can ask, so what did I do in that conversation or in that meeting that was helpful? How was I? How did I show up in that meeting that enabled me to get some good results? If it didn't go my way, what was it that I did or said, or what was the situation that led to that outcome? So what you're looking for is taking the learning and then being able to let go of the situation. And when you reflect and you process, what you're doing is giving yourself time to resolve any emotions that might come up. So as well as positive emotions about happiness and excitement and inspiration that you can get from these things, you might also come away from some interactions feeling guilt or shame or embarrassment or whatever. And if you don't give yourself time to reflect in a constructive and healthy way, those emotions can remain unresolved and they can kind of continue to bubble along until the next time you add into the pot. So creating a habit of reflecting regularly and in a helpful and healthy way can really help you to, really lead a balanced and enjoy good well-being as part of your experience at work.
Yeah, and when you're reflecting as a reflective practitioner, which means that it's an ongoing and a regular part of your way of being in the world, you're going to ask yourself questions like, what do I need to or want to let go of in order to move forward in the way that I would like to? And what is it that I'm welcoming in as I move forward? What we see a lot with new coaches is when they receive feedback, this blend of feedback and then reflecting on the feedback is they can have guilt hangovers. Oh no, I should have spotted. There's a lot of shoulds. And reflective practice is not about should. Reflective practice is about celebrating, what you did great, but it's also about what's possible for the future now with this new insight that I have got. And a really important part for me around being a reflective practitioner is that as coaches, we need to model for our clients. We're asking them to reflect. We're asking them to, adapt and be agile in their learning. And in that co-created learning space, we also need to model that ourselves.
Yeah. So hopefully that gives you some tips. I think one last thing I would share in terms of reflective practices, there's no one way to do it. Some people like to journal. For me, I like to talk it out. So that's partly supervision, where I'll take my reflections, but also, Joe and I often will reflect on how things have gone and what our learnings are. And some people like to get creative. So we're hearing from one of our practitioners in training this morning, who's on our ILM7 program, that actually they're quite keen to be more creative in the way that they reflect and use imagery. And so you can really use your senses to think about what is the best way for you to be able to capture those reflections and process what you need to. So we know obviously reflective practice is one of the core competencies within coaching. It sits within the MCC's core competency of kind of understanding yourself and continuous development. And I'm sure if you're not within the coaching world yet, there are competencies in your leadership that will enable you to build this into being a great leader as well. So,
yeah. And if you want a resource to look at, then you might want to take a look at Kolb's model, KOLB, and you might also want to look at the 7 Eyes model of supervision, which gives you 7 different lenses through which to reflect on your work. So really great resources to take a look at.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. If you're interested in coming to train as a coach, do take a look at our website, www.igcompany.co.uk, where you can find all information on our EMCC accredited programs from beginners right through to executive and senior level coaches. So thanks very much.